Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're doing well. How was your weekend? How was the July 4th celebration? Did you guys do anything fun, anything exciting for your July 4th celebration? How are you guys enjoying your summer? I'm glad to have you join me today. We're going to be here from 1 Central to 2 Central. As usual, on Tuesdays, today we're going to have lots of puzzles, lots of fun, and I want you all to have a good time. That's the most important thing, have a good time. So wait for a few more people to join us and we'll get going. It's going good. Everything was okay. I'm sure you all want to go out and do fun stuff, and unfortunately we can't do a lot of fun stuff right now. We just have to try to stay safe. But if we do our part, then we'll be able to do fun stuff later on in the future. So be patient. Everything will get better. Do you all have any plans for the summer? I know summer just started not too long ago. You guys have any plans, family plans? Okay, good afternoon, Shay. Simi, good. Thank you for joining us. If this is your first time joining us today, please go ahead and like the video and then subscribe to the channel so that when we're going live next time, you'll get a notification. And we always like to keep our viewers engaged. Staying at home? Yeah, I understand. I'm staying at home too. But you can find interesting things to do at home. Maybe sometimes you can play your video game, you can read a book, you can even find fun puzzles to do, while you're at home. Learn a new skill. You can learn to code. There are lots of different things you can do while you're at home. You can also prepare for the next school year. Lots of fun things to do. All right, so it's about 1:03, so let's see. We'll wait for a few more minutes and then we'll get started. So today there were some questions from last week that I'm going to try to address today. Last week, someone wanted us to go over place value. So I have quite a few questions on place value to start the session. And we're going to have a few puzzles. What I try to do today is after every few questions, I have a puzzle. And then after the next set of few questions, we just have puzzles all the way until we get to the end of the session. So but remember, if you have any question, any topics that you're interested in learning about, or that has been a problem for you in your school, the last school year or school semester, or maybe you're just preparing for the next school year and you run into some topics that you don't really understand and you need help understanding them, let me know and we'll go into those in detail. We'll try to address those areas of concern for you as well. Okay, so we'll get started, and if anyone joins, we'll be able to address their concerns as well. So today we're going to start with place value because that was a demand. The last 2 weeks of our sessions, we've got questions on place value. So I want us to get into some more detail with place value today. So we're going to look at the place value of 4 in each of these numbers. We want to use this as an opportunity to review place value. If you know it, feel free to answer. If you don't, let us know as well. And then, just let me know and then I'll be happy to go over it with you. Remember, this is your time. I want to make sure that you have a good time with this session. Okay, so what is the place value? All right, so I see some answers coming through. That is good. So we got 4, we got 40. Anybody can answer really. So feel free to answer. You'll notice that I'm not putting any grade because I don't want to scare you off. If you're in a higher grade, I want you to just feel like you can answer any question here. This is open for everyone, so feel free to answer any question. Okay, I see Jaden responding. That is nice. That's good. So we have 440 and 4,000. All right. If you have any friends that don't have anything to do right now, or they're not sure what to do with their time, just send the link to them. Just tell them that you're having a fun session of math and they should come join you. Let us have a good time together. Remember, this is about having fun, keeping your mind engaged, keeping your mind busy, just so that you can, when you get back to school, you don't feel so lost. So that's why we have this opportunity, so that we can all learn together. I want to learn from you, and I'm sure you probably want to learn something from me. And I think it'll be a good time. Okay, so we have a few comments already. Shay, good job. Jaden, good job. So we look forward to getting more responses. But since we have some responses now, let's go ahead and answer this question together, and then we'll go over to the next set of questions. But remember, if you have any questions as we walk through these problems, you can indicate, just post a comment on the chat. I'll be taking a look at the chat to make sure that I address your comments as well. So what is the place value of 4 in the following numbers? What you always want to remember here is that we want to start with this position here. We always read our place value from the right going to the left. So we have here, we have our ones here, ones, we have tens, and we have hundreds. All right, so here 4 is in the ones position, so the place value is 4 ones, which is equal to 4. So that's what you would do in this case. We have 4 is in the ones position, so it's going to be 4 ones, which is equal to 4. The next question is, the next number is 6,849. So let's go ahead and start from the right again. Here we have ones, and here we have tens. So I'm going to stop when we get to the 4. So we have, in this case, we have 4 tens, which is equal to 40. And the last question here, or the last number here, we have ones over here, we have tens over here, then we have thousands, and then, sorry, we have hundreds before thousands. I'm thinking way ahead. So we have hundreds here, hundreds, and then here we have thousands. So you can see that in this case we have 4 thousands, which is equal to 4,000. So this is what we're trying to get at. We have our place value here. The first one, remember, just as a recap of how you walk through place value problems, you always start from the right hand side, go all the way to the left, and every time you're going from the right to the left, you're increasing the value. So the first position is called the ones, which is just a single number, any number from 0 to 9. Then the second place value is the tens position, 10, 20, 30, 40, all the way to 90. The third position is the 100 position, which is 100, 200, all the way through 900. So you can see that what we're using here is we're doing some skip counting. We're actually skip counting for each of these place values. And then the fourth position, which we see here, right here, is our 1,000. So we'll skip count by 1,000, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, until we get to 9,000. And because we have 5 digits here, The fifth position here is actually going to be 10,000. And of course, because we skip counting by 10,000, it's going to be 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 until we get to 90,000. That's how we come up with the actual number that represents all of these place values. Are there any questions? So when you're in first grade or second grade, I think most likely first grade, and you're learning skip counting, is to actually prepare you to do things like this when you get to second and third grade. So just remember that math is about building. You know, we're building. You have to learn something to get to another thing. So you keep building, you keep building. So that's all we're learning in math, is just figuring out how to build our house. Okay, so now we have fractions. So we want to solve these fractions. We have a division, we have dividing fractions, and we have adding fractions. So we're going to try to solve these fractions. 1, 2 over 3 divided by 3 over 4. I want you guys to try to answer these questions before we do them together. 1, 2 over 3 divided by 3 over 4. Always remember that if you have any questions along the way, you can always ask. Feel free to ask any questions that you may have. Ask any questions. So remember, with fractions, whenever you're dividing, an important thing to remember is that you must convert all mixed numbers to improper fractions. Let me put a hint over here just to help you. So let's say convert mixed numbers to improper fractions. That is an important step. So if you have a mixed number, and for those who don't know what a mixed number is when you have a whole number and a fraction, a proper fraction together. You have a mixed number. When you have a whole number and a proper fraction together, combined, you have a mixed number. So whenever you have that and you have to divide or multiply, you have to convert that mixed number back to an improper fraction so you can use it. Anyone have an answer to the first question? And for those that are working on the addition problem down in the question here, when you have addition or subtraction, you have to make sure you have a common denominator before you can add or subtract. In that case, we don't have a common denominator, so we need to find a common denominator first. Okay, I see Anastasia's got a response. Okay. Thank you for your response. So we'll go ahead, and I'm going to wait for a few more people to respond, and then we'll get to solving this together. One 2/3 divided by 3 over 4. Let me give you another hint. Whenever you're dividing fractions, again, important thing to remember, always remember this, the fraction on the left hand side stays unchanged. The fraction on the right hand side, you have to invert it. You have to switch the position of the numerator and denominator. So you're going to switch the numbers. Always remember that when you're dealing with division of fractions, you always have to switch the fraction on the right hand side of the division symbol. You have to switch it, and then you have to change the division sign to a multiplication. Once you have a good foundation on these topics, it makes your math a lot easier as you go into middle school or junior high school and then high school. And I would also bet with you, when you get to college, it makes math a lot easier for you. So that's why I want to make sure that I'm showing you the best way, the simplest ways to learn this topic, so that when you go further, you would always remember how to apply them. Okay, let's go ahead, and it looks like I'm saying for the second one, 123 over 35. Okay, all right. Good job, Simi. Let's see. Okay, let's go for the first one. Let's try to do the first one together. We have 1 2/3. Remember what I said earlier, whenever you have a mixed number, you have to convert it to an improper fraction. So that's the first thing we're going to do here. We're going to convert our mixed number to an improper fraction. Our mixed number, again, is the number where you have a whole number and a fraction, and the fraction must be a proper fraction to be the correct type of mixed number. So we have 1 2 over 3. We're going to convert this to a mixed number, and that is simply multiplying the whole number by the denominator. So that's 1 multiplied by 3, and then we add the numerator of the proper fraction, and we keep our denominator the same. So this is going to be 3 plus 2, which is 5 over 3. So now this is going to become 5 over 3 divided by 3 over 4. And what I said earlier is that when you have a fraction, when you have a division, you keep the fraction to the left the same way. You leave it alone. You change the sign to a multiplication, and then on your right hand side, the fraction, the numerator and the denominator switch positions. So this is going to be 4 over 3. So this is going to give us, now we can multiply across. 5 multiplied by 4, we have 20. 3 multiplied by 3, we have 9. So now that we have 20 over 9, we can leave it this way, or we can convert it back to a mixed number. So we have 20 here divided by 9. How many groups of 9 do we get in 20? That should give us 2. 2 multiplied by 9, we have 18. And so we subtract, and we're left with 2. So this is going to give us 2 as a whole number, and then our remainder is 2, and then we divide by 9. By the way, this 2 here comes from your quotient. This 2 here comes from your remainder. So just take note of that. That's how those ones come about. So the next one we have here is 6 over 7 plus 4 over 5. These are two prime numbers here, so we're just going to multiply them together to get a common denominator. So we have 7 multiplied by 5 is going to give us 35. So we have 6 over 7. We need to multiply 7 by 5 to get 35. So we're going to multiply 6 also by 5. We're going to get 30 over 35. And then the next one, we have 4 over 5. We're going to have to multiply 5 by 7 to get 35. So we also multiply 4 by 7, and we'll get 28 over 35. So now we have two fractions that have the same denominator, and we're going to replace each of these fractions with their equivalent fractions. So you can see that these also have the same value. 6 over 7 is the same as 30 over 35, and 4 over 5 is the same as 28 over 35. So now we're going to add these two together. So we have 30 over 35 plus 28 over 35. So now that we have a common denominator, we have the same denominator for both fractions, we can just add the numerators together. So we have 30 plus 28, 30 plus 28, 0 plus 8, we have 8, 3 plus 2, we have 5. So this is going to be 58 over 35. So let's go ahead and convert this to a mixed number. So we have 58, 35. How many times do you have 35 and 58? Or said another way, how many groups of 35 do you get in 58? That's going to be 1. 1 multiplied by 35, we have 35. Now we have to subtract this. 8 minus 5, we have 3. 5 minus 3, we have 2. So this is going to give us one whole number, 23 over 35. So that's good. Good job, Simi. You did well with that. And for those who were not able to answer it, I hope this makes it easier for you to understand. Is it clearer? Do you understand? Do you have any questions? If you have any questions, I'd like to see the questions. I'd like to try to address those questions for you as well. Okay. If there are questions, I'll look back in the chat to see if you raise any questions. But we'll go ahead and go to the next question. And if anyone has a question about anything we've covered so far, please ask, and I will be very happy to go back and review that with you. All right, so now we want to find out what words are described in this. So this is going to be our first puzzle for the day. You get a math break now. So we want to find out what is a horned animal that has 5 letters, and the second letter is an H. A Spanish-speaking country, a polygon, and then amphibian. So these are the four descriptions we have to find a word for. A horned animal. I know last week I got feedback that it was too easy, so I tried to make something. This one isn't hard. It's just a little bit more challenging. Rhino, okay. I see Mexico. I see octagon. All right. Now the last one is an amphibian. So I see a rhino here. So let me use a different color. So rhino and Mexico. You all are so smart. I see octagon. So let's see if that works. Octagon. Do you know what an octagon is? What is an octagon? How many sides do you have in an octagon? An 8-sided polygon, yes. I'm waiting for the last one. I'm sure you guys are more than able to do it. Last one. I think you're missing, let me see, let's see. Alligator, let's see if you're right. So you're missing one letter, so it's not alligator. Keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. I'll give you a hint in a second, but let me give you a little bit more time to try. Alligators. No, it's singular. Let me give you a hint. The hint here is that this looks like a lizard. It looks like a lizard. Does that give you enough hints to try to get this one? It looks like a lizard. Or you can say it's lizard-like. Anyone can try it. It doesn't. Keep trying, keep trying. Anyone can try it. I'll give you another hint in a second. Okay, it starts with an S. It starts with an S. It looks like a lizard and it starts with an S. Fantastic. Yes, Shay, you have it. It's salamander. So let's see. Salamander. Good job. How was that? Was that easy? Was this one easier than last time or was about the same? Did you feel like you could easily get the answers? Fairly easy. That's good. That's good. Okay, so the next one we're going to is some more rounding. Place value. I wanted to spend some time on place value today because there've been lots of questions on place value for the last 2 weeks. And so I want to make sure that we get a chance to address place values very, very much today. So we want to round each of these numbers to the nearest 10. We're also going to round them to the nearest 100 and to the nearest 1,000. So each of these, we're going to round each of these numbers to the nearest 10. We're going to also round them to the nearest 100 and also to the nearest 1,000. So let me just draw a line up here. So let me just write this. So we got 10, 100, and then 1,000. So we're rounding each of these numbers to the nearest 10, to the nearest 100, and to the nearest 1,000. She is working hard. It's good stuff. $60. Okay, I see you all are working hard. That's good. Shay and Simi, you're doing very well. Thank you for your response. Okay. 7,000. Okay, 6,500. Daisy, all right. Good stuff. More people participating, always good. For those that are in higher grades, always look at this as an opportunity to just review some of the topics that you may have learned a long time ago. And you know, sometimes you learned this a while ago and then you don't do anything with it for some time. And then you get into high school and someone tells you about the SAT and the ACT and all these exams. And then you have to remember all this stuff you learned so long ago that you don't even use. And so this is also a good opportunity for you all to get a chance to be reminded of some of those topics that you haven't done in maybe 4 or 5 years, but you also need for the future. All right, so I see a lot of good responses here. Fantastic, fantastic. 9,700, all right. Okay, let's start with the first one. I see there's a lot of activity on this question, so that is good. So remember what I said last week. Whenever you're trying to round, you first focus on the place value that you're rounding to. And so let's start from that. Let's focus on the place value. Let's start with the 10. Our place, we're looking for the nearest 10. So we're going to look right here, which is 5 is in the 10's position. And for us to round, we need to look to the right of 5 and see if that number there is 5 or more. If it's 5 or more, then we have to increase 5 to 6. If it's less than 5, we'll leave 5 alone and just put a 0 at the end. So in this case, we have 6, 4. Now we see that this is an 8 to the right of 5, so we're going to increase 5 to 6, and then we're going to we're going to have a 0 at the end. Okay, let's go ahead and try the nearest 100. For the nearest 100, in this case, we're looking for this digit right here. So this number is a 4, but we're going to look to the right of 4, we have a 5. It is 5 or more, so we're going to increase the 4 to a 5. So it's going to be 6, and then we have a 5 here, and then every other digit is going to be represented with zeros. So you have 6,500. And then finally, to the nearest 1,000, this is tricky because it's easy for you to think you're going to come from the 100 after rounding to the nearest 100. You may think you have to use that, but that's not true. You have to go back to the original number. So look at the nearest 1,000. We're coming for this position right here. So we're going to look to the right of 6. We see we have a 4. Now, is 4 less than 5? Yes. Because it's less than 5, we're going to leave 6 unchanged. So 6 does not increase, it stays the same. So we're going to have 6 right here, and then we replace everything else with zeros. So this is what you would do in this case. Now let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next one. So we have to the nearest 10. Let's go to our red ink. Nearest 10, so this is what we're after. We're going to look to the right to see if that number is 5 or more. Here it's 3, so it's less than 5. So we're going to leave 2 the same. We're not going to increase. I want you to remember a very important point here is that your value in that place value location never reduces. It either stays the same or it increases. It never. So this can never be 9710. That can never happen. That 2 would either stay the same or it will become 3. It will never become 1. So in this case, we have 9,000. We have 7. Because the digit to the right of 2 is less than 5, we're going to leave 2 alone and then replace the digit with a 0 at the end. So after you get your specific place value, you just replace the rest of the digits with a 0. Now let's look at the nearest 100. We're going to this position right here, which is 7. So the nearest 100, we're going to look to the right of 7. We have a 2, which is less than 5. So the 7 stays the same. So we're going to have 9,007. The 7 stays the same and everything else becomes a 0. Another thing is you should never have more digits after your place value than you had in your original question. Okay, you should not have more digits after that place value than you had in your original number. So now let's look at this. This is a very interesting number because we're looking now at the 1,000 position. We're going to look to the right. We're going to look to the right of 9. We have a 7. 7 is greater than 5. So that means your 9 is going to increase to 10. And then after that, you have 0, 0, 0. You notice that after the comma, we only have 3 digits. So I'm going to replace each of those digits with a 0. So this is what we're going to get for our answer. This is what you want to do when you're rounding. Rounding is one topic that you can never really go away from as long as you're a student studying math or sciences. You always have to be able to do this. And maybe next time we'll do some more rounding decimals so that you can see how it actually applies. Or if that's something you want us to do today, feel free to ask and we'll do that. Also, if you are joining us for the first time, please go ahead and like this video and subscribe, and feel free to share. We'll encourage you to share with your friends. This is something we do every week to just help students and answer questions and just give you some place to have a good time while learning math, because Math can be one of those subjects that could be challenging, so we want to make sure that you have a safe place to ask any kind of question that you have about math. All right, so does anyone have any questions? If there are no questions, we'll go over to the next. We'll go over to the next one. If you have questions, I will look at the chat and I'll get back to those questions as well. So this is one that I think is very interesting too, because this is something you're going to learn in 6th grade, learn in 7th grade, and also learn probably in high school as well. So I want to show you there are different ways to do this, and I picked two specific examples that there are 2 methods you can use to arrive at your answer for some of them, but I'm going to show you the most reliable method to solve this type of equations. So this is what we'll call proportions, ratio and proportions. 5/14. If you haven't done this yet, that is fine. That is fine. I will show you exactly how to go about it. (30/48). Okay, all right. Oh, Shei, you're doing good. You're doing good. Okay. Does anyone not know how to do this? There are 2 ways to do this. I'm going to show you the 2 different ways to do it. And I think for the first one, the other way works, but I'm going to show you the simplest way. What I like to always do is I want to show you a method that you can use no matter what type of question you get. Sometimes in the schools, they tell you to try to find a multiple, but you don't always have a multiple that you can easily discover. So I'm going to show you the best way. So I'll wait for some of you to respond. I see Shei is responding. I'm wait for maybe 1 or 2 more people to get in the game and get in the fun of this question, and then we'll go ahead and solve together. Gideon, good afternoon. How are you? Okay, sorry about that. Find the value of x in each of these. So let's go ahead and see if we can do the first one. I see, does anyone not know how to do this? If you're not sure what to do with this, let me know, and then I'll just go ahead and actually show you how to go about this type of questions. 15/24 is equal to 5/8. Okay. All right, so let's start with the first one. Let's start with the first one. So if you look at these numbers, you can see that 5 is not a multiple of 3, and multiple means that you cannot multiply 3 by a whole number to get 5. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this method. I call it the cross product method. Some may call it cross multiplying, but I just like, either way, they're the same thing. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to multiply that way, and you're going to multiply that way. So this ends up becoming 3 multiplied by x is equal to 5 multiplied by 7. And now that you have this, you're going to be able to solve for x. So you're going to, for those going to 7th grade, in your 6th grade class, you would have learned about one-step equations, and this is a multiplication one-step equation. So you're going to divide by 3 here, and then you're going to divide by 3 here as well. So you have 3x divided by 3. You can see here that 3 is going to cancel 3 out. So you have just 1x. That is what we call isolating, where you're isolating the variable. And here you have 5 multiplied by 7, which is equal to 35 divided by 3. So here x is equal to 35 divided by 3. Please, if you have fractions, don't use decimals. If you can avoid using decimals, please avoid using them, especially when you have fractions. If you convert this to a decimal, you're going to get something along the lines of 11.66666 because it's going to be a repeating decimal. But if you just convert to a fraction, you don't have to worry about the repeating decimal. So let's go ahead and divide this. We have 35 divided by 3. So 3 divided by 3, we have 1. 1 multiplied by 3, we got 3. We subtract, we bring down the 5. This is 0. 5 divided by 3, how many groups of 3 in 5? We have just 1, because 3 multiplied by 1 is 3, and 3 multiplied by 2 is 6. So 1 multiplied by 3 is going to give us 3. We subtract and we're left with a 2. So this is going to give us 11. That's our quotient. Our remainder is 2, and we're dividing by 3, which is our divisor. So this is going to be x equal to 11/2/3. So this is the method where this is the simplest method to use for this type of questions. The second one, I also have that here because I want to show you a different way to look at proportions as well. So if you look at this, we have 5/8 equal to x/48. Now you need to ask yourself, it's a very good question to ask yourself every time you have proportion questions. Is there a multiple of 8 that is 48 a multiple of 8? Which simply means, is there a whole number that I can multiply by 8 to get 48? All right, Shay, that's good. Yeah, you're on the right path. So that question is very important because it helps you determine the easiest way to go about it for yourself. So in this case, 8 multiplied by 6 is 48. So I can see here that 8 multiplied by 6 is 48. So therefore, remember, whatever you do, because we're looking at equivalent fractions, whatever you do to the denominator, you must do to the numerator and vice versa, which simply means that if we had to do something to the numerator, we also have to do it to the denominator. So in this case, we're multiplying 8 by 6. So therefore, we're going to also multiply 5 by 6. So x is equal to 5 multiplied by 6, which is equal to 30. So that is one method. Now I'm going to show you the cross product method. The cross product method, we're going to multiply this together and multiply this together. So you see we're creating a cross or an x in the way that we choose how to multiply. So this is going to give us 5 multiplied by 48 is equal to 8 multiplied by x. So now we're going to go ahead and divide both sides by 8 because we need to isolate x, the variable. So we're going to divide by 8 here, divide by 8. Now you have two choices. You can either multiply 5 by 48 and then divide by 8, or you can look here and see if you can come up with you can come up with the greatest common factor, or you can divide them by common factors. Here we know that 8 divided by 8 is 1, 48 divided by 8 is 6, and then 8 divided by 8 is 1, and 8 here divided by 8 is also 1. So we have 5 multiplied by 6 is equal to 1 multiplied by x. So 30 is equal to x. So you can see that regardless of how you go about it, you're going to end up with the same answer. So you have two different choices on how you can go about this. What I've found is the cross product method is the one that is I think is the best method to use, because sometimes, like if you look at this example here, you don't have a multiple of 3 on the other side of the equation. So it'll be a lot of work for you to try to find that out, and it will take too much time, and it will waste a lot of your time. So this is the best method. It works every single time. The cross product method works every single time. So use it as much as you can and learn how to use it, because it'll make your math a lot easier. Does anyone have any questions about this? Does anybody else, do you want us to do another example? If you want us to do another example, I will be happy to do that. So I'm going to give you some time to see if you want us to do another example, then we can try to do that together. Okay, Jaden, good job. Anastasia, great job. Shayi, good job. You guys have done well. Does anyone have any questions? I want to answer your questions. Does anybody want us to do another example of this type of question? Okay, so let's do another example. Okay, so here's our example. We have 4 over 9 equal to 24 over x. That's one question here. The second one we're going to do is 3 over 8 is equal to x over 18. So here's our next set of examples. We have 4 over 9 equal to 24 over x. We have 3 over 8 equal to x over 18. We're going to find the values of x. Let me just make sure that that is indicated. Find the values of x. Okay, 24 over 54, that is okay, that's good. All right. So I want some more people to also, I want you all to try to answer this question as much as you can. Remember, there are two methods you can use. If you can find a multiple, you have two methods. If you cannot, then you want to use the cross product method. Get used to the cross product method. Is one that I use all the time. It's the most reliable method that you can use. But like I said, if you can find a factor between a multiple or a multiplier between any of the numerator or denominator on the left and the right, you can use that as well. Number 1, x equal to 54. Are you sure about that? Give it a try again. I think you missed a step. You're actually very close on number 1. You're quite close. Actually, yes, you're right. I was looking at number 2. Yes, x equal to 54. That is correct. Sorry about that. X is 54. Okay, so let's go ahead and walk through that together. Let's show why x is 54. So we have 4 over 9 equal to 24 over x. So what we're going to do here is trying to find if 4 and 24 are multiples of each other or factors of each other. So we can see that 24 is a multiple of 4. How do we know? Because 4 multiplied by 6 is going to give us 24. And because we're looking at equivalent fractions, whatever we multiply the numerator by, we must also multiply the denominator by that number. So in order to get x, we're going to have to multiply this by 6 as well. So x is going to be 9 multiplied by 6, which is 54. All right, 6, 3 over 4. All right, everyone, good, good. 54 over 8, yes, 6.75. All right, it looks like you guys got a fairly good understanding of the topic. So let's go ahead to the second. Let's go to the second question. Here we cannot easily find a whole number multiplier of 8 that gives us 18. So we're going to use what we call the cross product method. So we're going to cross product right here. So this is going to give us 3 multiplied by 18 is equal to 8 multiplied by x. And then we're going to divide both sides by 8 so that we can get the value of x. So here 8 is going to cancel out 8, and so we have 1x on that side. Now on this side we have 18 and 8. What you can do also in this case is you can start with finding common factors. I have a common factor of 2 because 8 and 18 are even numbers. They have a common factor of 2. So 8 divided by 2, we have 4. 18 divided by 2, we have 9. So we have 3 multiplied by 9 over 4 is equal to x. On the other hand, you can also go this way. 3 multiplied by 18 over 8 is equal to 54 over 8, and then you can simplify that. So that's also an option. So this here gives you 27 over 4 equal to x. So let's go ahead and simplify that. Let's convert it to a mixed number. So we have 27 divided by 4. How many groups of 4 do you have in 27? We have 6. 6 multiplied by 4, we have 24. We subtract and we're left with a remainder of 3. So x is now going to be equal to, our quotient is 6, our remainder is 3, and our divisor is 4. So that is the value of x. If you actually do the same for 54 over 8, you're going to get the same answer. So how many groups of 8 are there in 54? You're going to get 6. 6 multiplied by 8, you have 48. We subtract and we're left with a remainder of 6. So x here is going to be 6 over 8, and then we can reduce 6 over 8, and you're going to get 3 over 4. So you can see that regardless of how you go about it, you're always going to get to the same answer. This is the beauty of math. There are lots of ways to get to your answer. And don't feel, what I would say to you is find the method that you like and that you're comfortable with, and stick with it and continue to work with it and get very confident using it, so that when you have any question, you can just go back to your method and it would always work. All right, so let's see what we do next. We have a puzzle. We have a few more puzzles, but I'll see we're almost out of time. So I'll see which of them we're going to use. Actually, let's do one here that is not mathematical. Let's do this one. So we have some steps, and it's the numbers on the steps create a pattern. We need to find out the missing number in this pattern. All right, the answers are coming in. So I see 672. 672 I see here. I want you to think about it a bit more. Think about it a bit more. Don't forget, there's a pattern that is created, and that's what you're going to focus on. Focus on the pattern that is being created. All right, I can see you change your mind. That's good. So let's see. We have a few more minutes. Answer is 840. All right. When anybody else want to try, I want you all to give it a shot. Answer is 840. Anybody else want to try? So let me give you some hints here. From here to here, you're multiplying by 2. From here to here, you're multiplying by 3. From here to here, you're multiplying by 4. And what do you think you're going to do here? What do you think you're going to do in the next case to get the number at the top of the staircase? What's confusing? So you have, it's a pattern. That's the hint. The hint here is that we're trying to establish a pattern. You just have to see what is happening to create that pattern. So let's see who has an idea. So here we are going to, because our multiplier is increasing by 1 each time, so we're multiplying by 2 here, multiplying by 3, multiply by 4, and so here we're going to multiply by 5. And so our answer is going to be 168 multiplied by 5, and you're going to have 8 multiplied by 5 is 40. We write 0, bring a 4 here. 6 multiplied by 5 is 30, plus 4 we have 34. We write 4 and bring 3 up here. 1 multiplied by 5 is 5, plus 3 we have 8. So we have 840. 840 is going to be our answer. So good job, Simisola. Good job to you, Sheyi. You've done a good job. Daisy, everyone, you've done a good job today. Thank you so much for participating. This makes it so enjoyable when you all are participating in the exercises. It actually helps me also understand the ways to meet your needs as well. So thanks for your participation and thanks for your time. We are about 2 minutes to the end of the session. Is there anyone that has a question that you would like for a topic that you would like for us to focus on next week? If you have any topics that you would like for us to focus on next week, I will be sure to take note of those and create and come up with questions that allows us to discuss those topics. So please go ahead and let me know if there are any topics that you're interested in knowing more about. We'll do that next week. Geometry. Okay, what about geometry? Geometry is pretty wide. HTML. That's interesting. If there's enough demand for HTML, we'll find a way to do HTML. HTML and CSS. So you like web design and web development? That's very interesting. HTML and CSS. Okay. I'll take note of those. Again, I just want to thank you all for joining our session today. It was very exciting for me. It was nice to see all of you contribute and also enjoyed your feedback and even the questions that you've asked. Very helpful in helping me develop the topics that we'll be using for next week. And thank you so much. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you coming. I know there are lots of different things you could have been doing. For some of you, could have been on your Xbox or playing in the backyard. But the fact that you chose to spend this time with me, I really appreciate it. I look forward to spending more time with you next week. Don't forget, if you have older siblings, Thursdays we have sessions that they can learn from, but also you're invited to join our sessions with on Thursday. There's something you can learn from. So I want you to have a good rest of your day and a good rest of your week, and enjoy your weekend, and then we'll catch up with you next week. You be blessed.